in the back, right over there in the back corner. And is it fair game? Anybody can take as many as they want, or how does that work?
We'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that. All right, cliffhanger. You can tell this is well rehearsed. I don't. Anyways, the foam weather stripping is about a 1/2 inch thick. Some of the most common applications that you're going to use for this is really like an attic hatch, where you're going up into the attic to look at the insulation and such. That attic hatch has a lot of leakage around, like air can leak out of that. And you just apply it, has an adhesive on one side, and you just put it right on the hatch panel, and then put it back down on top of that, and it creates a much better seal. Probably the one that is more applicable, or one that most homeowners would be very comfortable using, is right around air conditioners. So if you have a window air conditioner and you have that set in there, there's a lot of gaps that sit around the edges of that. And this is a really, really, really easy thing that you can install yourself. One of the things that I'll mention as a true thing about every single one of the things that we're doing is it's a really, really easy thing to install, but also easy to uninstall. So if somebody installs it for one season or a year or anything like that, they can easily take it off afterwards. All right, the next thing I have displayed is that V-strip weather stripping. So that is, it's kind of hard to see it, and I'm not gonna take it out of the package here, but it's this one right here, and it's enough to fit a full 36-inch door. And the way that this one works is you peel it off. It just has a piece of tape. You fold it in half, and actually, if you look at the bottom right corner of that slide, you can see how it's like all wound up like this. And as you fold it in half, it becomes rigid, and then you install that, and it's really good for very, very small gaps. So you couldn't use the other foam weather stripping on the door because you wouldn't be able to close the door. This will just do probably around 1/16 to a 1/4 of an inch gap anywhere around a door or a window. The door that you see in the picture there, if anybody is probably this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because that's an interior door. It is an interior door. It's at my house, and actually that goes into a closet that is outside of what we call the envelope of the house. And that just means that that is open to the outside, as eaves and ventilation all to the outside. So we treat that room, our family treats that room as not a part of our heated or cooled space. And so really what you want to do is anytime that you use these, weatherization is really trying to figure out how to keep the cold air that you're paying for, or the hot air that you're paying for in the wintertime, in your conditioned space, and the unconditioned space, you're trying to keep that away. So that room for us is an exterior space for us, and so this weather stripping is perfect for that. This is oh dear. Do we have the other slide or no? Maybe nope. All right, I'll explain it. I have one other slide with a door, and it's the same door that you're looking at here. And this is a door sweep. This goes right on the bottom of an exterior door typically. Again, this is a closet for me, but it's still looking to keep the conditioned space separate from the unconditioned space. And it just peels on the back side of here. You stick it right on the bottom of the door, and it'll protect or help keep that air from moving between the two spaces.
On the inside or the outside of the door?
Whatever, I guess, makes more sense. So for example, a typical exterior door has what they call a threshold, something that a little bump or whatever. And if you put this on the outside of the door and it was going over that threshold every single time, it could possibly break, right? So it differs door to door. Mine is on the inside because it's in the conditioned side, and that's what made more sense in my application. But it's going to differ sometimes to the outside being better. So long as it's not going over a ridge, I don't know that it really matters one way or another.
Thank you.
I'm getting your other slide. It'll be up in just a second.
I explained it pretty well too. I don't know if it really is. I think that we can visualize it. The only other thing that I'll mention is all of the things that I kind of demonstrated installing and the things that we went through, tape measure, a pencil, scissors. This was the only one that I found that needed a little bit more with a tool. And so I used a tin snips. It's a tool for cutting metal on roofs and things of that nature. to cut this, because it's a thicker plastic. You couldn't cut this with just the scissors, at least I couldn't. And so you're going to need, the homeowner will have to find a way to cut this with something more industrial than just a scissors to cut it to size. They recommend measuring your space, measuring this and doing it. I honestly just put it up to the door like this, marked right there, and I cut it. So I mean, it's really, really easy to install. All right, so the next one that I have, and I don't have any more slides as demonstrated before, is these outlet covers. So these outlet covers come like this, and they have all of the punch outs that you would need to configure to either a light switch, a regular outlet, or the decor one. So you can just pop it out the whole thing like this. I'm making a mess. Anyways, you can kind of see, it becomes the rectangle one as well. So you can really put it on any one of the outlets that you might have. And it's really, really easy to do. And so I can demonstrate this really quick. First thing that I would always recommend doing is turning off the power. No, unplugging the hairdryer does not do that. But I did make my display really fancy. I can demonstrate like if I were to be turning off the power in my house, or like turning off the outlet for, or the breaker for this particular outlet. Take off the 2 screws. And I can't talk and multitask at the same time, so apologize. And this is where you really do want to turn off the power, because those are live wires otherwise, and that could be dangerous. It's a true demonstration, I didn't prep anything. So, just punch out the applicable holes for the one I'm doing, and all of these have the same thing, so you can really apply any of these outlet covers to any of the various kinds that you would have. Obviously, this also tears in half, so you could do a single or double. I messed up a little bit, it doesn't really matter. You just put that then right inside of there. Oh, you know what? I lied. You have to tear it apart. It doesn't work otherwise. It's as real as it gets. Turn out that little center for the screw, and then you can put that right back on.
And what does that do?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I was like, just thinking about the fact that, like, why would you put a gasket on your outlet? That doesn't make any sense. Like, what am I trying to protect it from? So, the best use of this this gasket is on any exterior wall that the outlets are on. Because if this is a wall, the window's right here, so it has to be exterior, right? And so cold air can sit in this gap, specifically in houses that aren't very well insulated. So you have cold air in here, and there's a hole right here for the electricity, and that hole then allows air to kind of come through all of this. You're just trying to reduce the amount of airflow that you have, again, from the unconditioned space to the conditioned space. And in this case, the unconditioned space can get in a couple different ways. The most common is just, again, this is an exterior wall. So you have this air in here that is not the same temperature as your house, and you're trying to fight to keep that air away. The other thing is, I've been around with a lot of electricians in my day, and typically when they want to put these wires in, they'll just drill a hole, and if they need a hole this big, they'll drill a hole this big because it's easier to go through. And this is my attic up here. This is like where all of the hot air or the cold air of my attic is, and that air can go right down through that hole into this wall cavity and out from my outlet. We used to do blower doors. That's where you hook up a blower door in the front door of the house, and we tried to see how much air infiltration is through the entire house. And you can go by every single one of the outlets, and you'll feel air cruising through there pretty prevalently. It's just, you're trying to reduce every little bit that you can. There's not a whole ton of holes this big that you're just trying to cover up in the house. It's a lot of really, really small holes that you're trying to go through, and you're trying to weatherize those small holes. So it actually is a really good segue into rope caulk. So rope caulk is just like you would see like tube caulking or things like that you buy from the store. Rope caulk is a little bit unique. It's like Play-Doh. It really is. You just peel it off. My kids would love this stuff. And you just peel it off like this, and you can put it into any area that you really feel needs to be caulked, both exterior or interior. It'll stay on there. And you just peel it off like this. It would take me quite a while to do this whole window, so I'm not going to. But you can see this gap right here. And I can literally just push that into there, and it'll stay there. And I can double it up if I needed to, but I can push that right into there, and it'll help seal that gap that will allow the air to infiltrate through there. So take it home for your kids to play with. No, I'm just joking. It's really easy to install this on any place that you would have caulk. And I'll be honest, like I can barely ever find my caulk on and the caulk and all this stuff and go through stuff. This is really easy to just have in your drawer where you have a couple gaps and stuff like that, and you can just really quickly seal up those gaps. And it is very permanent that it'll stay there and it'll seal up those gaps. But it's also really easy even afterwards to just, if it dries, you can just take like a putty knife or anything like that and scrape it right off. It's very easy to do that way. All right. Those are those ones. The last one, I'm hoping I can orchestrate well. It's these window kits. So it's a window film, and the first thing that I want to address on it is the way that this works is it helps the air infiltration. One of the things that's really common in Arizona is window tinting. This is not that. So what's going to happen is we're going to put tape all the way around the perimeter of the window. And we're going to just take the plastic and you kind of put it on and you push it to the tape, and then you use a clothes dryer and it shrinks down. It's kind of like shrink wrap, so it'll shrink down to and be a nice surface. I used to live up in the Midwest, and we almost use this every single winter. In fact, Home Depot didn't even stock this until usually around like October, November, and then it would sell out because it's a really good temporary window covering that doesn't allow the air to pass through it, but it does not have any UV protection whatsoever. And any window that you put it over is not openable while it's on. Again, it's really temporary. It's really easy to take off, put on if you want to, but it is not going to be like a permanent, like this is going to be there for the rest of how, I mean, it really could be, but it doesn't provide any UV protection is, I guess, the main thing, which is something that's really important in Arizona, and that's not what this does. So I'm going to try to demo this. We'll see how it goes.
So
I might need a volunteer to help me fight the plastic. We'll see. But I'll start by putting on the tape. And so the tape just has one side that has the backing on it, and then it's clear, so you won't be able to see it. In fact, I have some that I tried beforehand right here, and you wouldn't have even noticed that. And so I'll just start putting it on. Well, I think I got this. The part that's going to be good to have help on is putting the plastic on. So again, my guess is you can measure this. I don't know why you want. You just cut it. If you want to work at this is the thing that I was most nervous about. I admitted this to somebody else before. It's going to be like, I don't have nails, so taking off the backing, it might be a little bit of pain. So if you want to try to take off the white backing, that would be great. I know, it's kind of a pain. Look at that. What was I so nervous about? Probably not the second ones. I tried to do this right before, and I took me like 2 minutes. Alright, so this is the part of me. So this is how the plastic comes. It's all one piece. You would just go to your window. There's more than enough, so you just go to your window and you cut it right to that size. So go a little bit this way. You can cut it after the fact to really cut off any accents. You want to obviously have a little bit extra because you don't want to like make it too small and then you're stuck with having to do it over again. Better to cut it after the fact. And we're going to start at the top. So it's double over still. Maybe it's good to say, it's good to have friends. And then you go my corner first. Just push into that plastic. Yeah. You want to make it tight, but it really doesn't have to be super tight, just tight enough that it is relatively in place. Afterwards, you just cut off the excess. I don't know that you guys need to watch me do all of that, but that's what you do. And then, my wife's hair dryer. And then just putting it on the heat setting, which that's really hot. It'll just take out all of those wrinkles and make it tight. So you can see here's the top. So you can see the difference between what the side that I heated up and the side that isn't yet, and it makes it look really good, like it's not even there. And it seals up any leaky windows that you might have. So those are the products that I had. Any questions or oh man, yeah. Yeah, so the quick answer is that growing up in Wisconsin, we only installed it during the winter time because you would never open your window in the winter time. It's 0 degrees outside. And so it's the quick answer is any time that the temperature outside is extremely the not temperature that you want it inside, and you don't want to open the windows is when you would install it. The other side of it is that there's probably a lot of opportunity for, like, let's say one of your windows has a small crack in it or a broken pane or something like that, and you just don't have the money to replace it. Again, this is not a permanent solution, but it is a really good solution for making it so that you don't have that air moving through it. So it's funny that you say better for winter or for summer, because my answer as a Midwestian would be absolutely during the winter, but that's probably the opposite here in Arizona.
So what then you want to open the window? Like, what if an emergency happens and it's really easy to just take that off?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Or do you have to have a
You can literally like just pull out this thing and it would come off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not something that would be a barrier to a fire or anything like that, no.
Does the plastic stick to like brick? Like if you're putting it around?
Yeah, so the double-sided tape that's in there is pretty strong. In fact, one of the worst materials that you could probably put it on is wood. And so like I actually literally thought about, like, I did this last night and thought about drywalling it just to demo it. Because I don't even know if it's like gonna be like good, right? Like, so wood is a bad surface to use tape on. It's just not.
The tape comes off easily?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just it's like a double-sided tape, but it's not like Scotch tape. It's more rubbery,
Okay.
and quite a bit stronger. But yeah, it'll just scrape right off. It's not. And it won't damage your walls. I think it's probably similar to what you'd see on the back side of those 3M strips that you pull on. You know how it's like more of a gel? So it's more like that. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
I just had a comment. I used to live in Tacoma, Washington. My first apartment was built in the 1920s in Tacoma, Washington. It was a little tiny studio with a huge picture window, really cold in the winter, floorboard heaters, and I put in a huge plastic piece over that window every winter, and it worked really, really well.
Yeah, no, we did it every single year in our apartment in Wisconsin, so I can relate. So.
John, are you staying fans in that?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
I don't have to, I just want you to ask.
No, I can stay as long as you guys need to.
Yeah, who needs to issue a power tap you get with John?
I have a question. Would you recommend this to the homeowners and renters, or does nothing that would damage for renters?
No, absolutely. So the only thing with renters is that like your door to go into a lot of apartments is into a hallway, and like those are both conditioned space. So there's different applications from that standpoint. But absolutely, like specifically, like in my mind, the 1/2-inch foam is so great for air conditioners, and a lot of renters are using air conditioners, window air conditioners, and that's one of the best applications for it. That you're renting, so you don't want to damage the walls. And so if you're using caulk and stuff like that, that's much more of a permanent solution. This is really, really easy to go and fill those gaps and make it more comfortable, and then you can take it off afterwards. So like very, very temporal in the sense that you can take it down at any point.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
How great to see your idea come to fruition, right? For those of you who are part of the affordability tiger team, isn't it great to see something physically manifest that we talked about? This is great. Give John another one. This is where we're gonna put y'all to work, right? Because we want to go after deployment of these DIY kits strategically, surgically, right? We have 1,000 chances to change people's lives. And I'm not talking just by the kit, right? The kit is sort of like the gateway. The kit is us being able to identify a person that we can then track, right? But like, if you were to get with your small group at the table, you could couple regarding lot 4 or whoever you have locally, just sort of like converge. But I would like you to put some time and effort in regards to thinking about how should we deploy this kit? Think about in your agencies, who's hurting, who's in need, who needs help? How could we bring this to the public? What sort of venues are you operating in, right? Where do you have events coming up soon? Would you like us to partner with you, right? Do we drop off kits at the agency during times in which you're having office hours and then you assess, right? So I'd like you to work in your tables. Feel free to grab some of the paper that Erica is placing down. If you put in your small group, appoint a scribe. And we're going to give you about 15, 20 minutes in regards to working in your small groups. And I'd like you to come up with a deployment plan or ideas in regards to helping you get these kids in the hands of the local folks. Right? So you need your brain power. Go to it.
I have ideas, but I don't have the people part to. We can identify a lot of older adults that would benefit from this.
How much time do we give them? 15, 20 minutes.